Okay, we're going to do an end of year wrap up. I did one of these last year, and it'll be just interesting for me to look back and see how the studio's changed. So going to just go through and have a look at what I've got, what I've changed out, what I'm doing, and yeah, we'll see how this turns out. But right, okay, so what's new in the house? So we've got a new space, which is different for me. Dragged out an old 70s machine. Seems to be the second oscillator seems to be not working, but I haven't delved into it properly just to mess with it. I also dragged out my old Zoom effects unit, which some of it sounds still okay. Reverbs now sound really pretty poor compared, and it's still quite noisy, but Mother 32 still got it, getting better. I think the OS update on it was a big improvement, and it made life a bit easier with the machine. I really like the new drum machine version of this. I think it looks quite cool. Still quite a cool little Kestrel machine. The Medusa, which is incredible. I think it's a really smart invention. I also think that if you look at the reviews from it early on, there's been so many updates, it's still being supported, and it has come a very long way, and I'm really now into gear, which is being very well supported over the years, and I think that Polyend are doing a fantastic job with all their stuff on that, so I'm a big fan. And also Dreadbox working alongside two companies I love. Clone 303 Bassbot, Cyclone, sorry. I think that's still a really good 303, and we'll come to this 303 in a moment. But this one I've had a long time, and I thought, always coming from sort of Reason World and Rebirth in the early days with the two 303s, I always thought just for live context it would be fun to have two 303s working together. So then we come to these two. I think the drum, I think what I thought of these when I first got them was I didn't like them. I was immediately turned off. I thought this was inferior to that. I thought the sound, although it was very 303, I thought the top end squeal on it I didn't particularly like. The drum machine, very basic sequencer, but at the same time I now kind of recognise what these are. These are clones. These are trying to be representative of the original equipment. And I think I've kind of grown to like them both, actually. I think for different reasons. I think the distortion on this is better than it works on this. I think it sounds terrible on this drum machine, but the drums on this sound great, of course. I think that this is inferior to that, but then this has always been trying to be an advanced version of a 303, and this is trying to be a classic 303. For my money, an advanced version is way better. So I'm going to stop talking about the 303s, but they do what they do, and they make that sound, and it is a cool sound. Dreadbox still just an incredible machine. Still love it. Still just use it muchly just a bass machine, but it's got that sound that I really like. New OS updates for this were pretty cool as well, so the Oko still has a bit of life coming into it. I'm pleased to see that there's been some changes and that it's still a wacky machine, but when you want wacky, perfect for that. And of course, with the sort of semi-modular that I've got, it still has its place in creating or using it to create sounds for other machines. What have we got? Oh, I started using this little thing. I can't remember what it's called anymore, but it's basically, you can kind of use a piece of software alongside it, and when you tap, it triggers notes. It's really cool. I really like it. And also I still use this as well for the Leap Motion, just for some sound control designed through MIDI, which is just still very unique to be using your hands rather than like MIDI controllers. The tracker I think is an incredible machine. Again, the updates keep coming and it just gets better and better and better, and I still think there's going to be a lot more to come from that. Still running Keybase on the Mac. Still got, you know, my contacts, my reactor, and various other bits of VST stuff, but it's becoming less important. Cubase, obviously, just for my recording, but I'm becoming more doorless. I've been doorless, and then I haven't been, and then I have been, and I think I'm in a doorless mode at the minute. We got some guitar pedals. This pedal's cool, the Lo-Fi Junkie, which I think is just got that nice sort of warm sound, and it's been working really well with this MS-2000R, which I've had since I was a kid, when I first going into electronic music. And I bought it from Turnkey in London. This was the very first machine that I bought brand new, rather than just lots and lots of second-hand gear, which I used to try and find through the newspapers, because eBays didn't exist then. Digitact, finding I'm using it as a MIDI controller more than anything, but still great sampler. Zoom sample track, just still my old school again, something I bought way back along with this in those sorts of times, and was making electronic music, so dear to my heart, and just nice to give it a breath of life every now and again. The Nord modular, which I still think is very interesting. I use it sporadically now, but it's still just a powerful little machine, and the idea of just creating your own things and putting it into that box and carrying it around, brilliant. The drum station, I'm really enjoying that alongside the Digitact with MIDI control. Just you put in random MIDI into this and letting those drums trigger. I think it breathes some life into that. The EMU, I still just break out every now and again for a big synth, but it doesn't have a lot of life in it left, I don't think. The LXR, just still as crazy as it ever was. Still the operating system's a bit weird, but it does what it does. The Electron, oh, why is my brain is just failing me, but the machine drum is a bit broken at the minute. I took it on up to Spain for a performance, and it got damaged en route, so it needs a bit of fixing, but it still works enough, and it still creates drums when I need them. They tend to get turned into samples more than anything. The mono machine is still fantastic. I still love it. A lot of percussion built out of that. This is new to me. The organelle, working with PD, which is not, I've tried PD for many years, and I still really struggle with PD, but some of the user content is fantastic. It's different, it's strange, but it suits my workflow. Arturia Beat Step, which just does what it does. Most people know that. I still think this one's another one that's had a lot of updates from its original sort of release, and has become a really powerful tool. I have really enjoyed making this a MIDI controller. I kind of stopped using it, and then I was like, right, let's just use it again. So I started to sort of use it as MIDI control for equipment, and also inside the door, and I believe this to be very powerful MIDI controller. Also, I still break it out on occasions for the synthesis engine. I still think the synthesis engine has a nice sound, and it just has its own little sound. Digitone, I think, is still incredible. It's still over the 2 FMs. I would still take the mono machine as my first FM machine, but as a secondary, I still think this is great, and some of those pad sounds you can get out of it are brilliant. A whole series of effects pedals, which just get thrown in randomly every now and again. I still think the Metal Muff, as noisy as the damn thing is, sounds brilliant on a 303, and that's the one for me to give a distortion to a 303. The Octatrack, with its new update for this year, has been incredible, and I think I will breathe a bit of life back into it. I use it for a performance tool more than anything, like a performance mixer, but I would like to sort of get back into sampling, but many samplers and I think the Polyend Tracker for me is the one that's I'm enjoying the most through sampling. Another Zoom sample track. I actually have 3 of them somewhere. And then over in the back I have one of those weird little whatever they're called machines, but you'll recognise it if you know what they're talking about. But it's the machine where you can upload different synths to it, but it's very 8-bit. It has a sound. It's okay, but it hasn't, as you can see, it hasn't seen a lot of use for a while. And then over on the other side of the room, this is where I've been kind of doing my filming and editing for this last year. So this is the space that I kind of sit down at the end of a recording and try and put something together. So yeah, so that is my update for this year, and I will probably look forward to just seeing this myself in a year's time, seeing what's changed and what's different. Sorry about the mess, but my studio is forever changing and I switch stuff out all the time. So it is a messy studio. I always question those very tidy studios that look like they've never been touched. That for me is not the way for making music. So yeah, thanks for watching, and Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you for supporting me this year. It's been a big bit for me, and I haven't made huge amounts of videos, but the tracks I've made I've been pleased with. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the new year.